certainly anything over 500 in Big Ten play is a lock for the tournament. The man here, I think 500 is a lock. I think that's a lock. I think they're 10-10. They're in. I just now you can say the non-conference schedule wasn't strong. They're in. They're 10-10. I'm pretty confident they're in. I would just be very, very much. I'd be very much surprised if they were to be left a 10-10 Big Ten team that knocked off Virginia on the road and a good Utah State team on a neutral court. I know the schedule wasn't tough overall in the non-conference, but I think this is a team that makes the tournament at 10-10. And I think 9-11. You know, you probably can't draw that line in the sand at this point, but I think 9-11, you're probably going to have to win a game or two in the Big Ten tournament. But I'd be pretty happy with 10-10. Now, you go 10-10, you lose in the first round of the Big Ten tournament, then I'm sweating a bit on Selection Sunday. I'll tell you that. I'm sweating a bit on Selection Sunday, but I still think they're in. If regardless of what they do in the Big Ten tournament, if you're at 500, I see Iowa getting in. Doug, last year, Michigan State and Maryland both made the tournament with losing records in the Big Ten. If Iowa finishes 500 in the Big Ten, they're in. I would agree with that. Grant says, what do you think the ceiling of this team is? I think they have the potential to make a deeper postseason run than last year's team because of their better defensive play. Well, here's what I'll say, Grant. I definitely think that Iowa will make the tournament. I'm at that point now where I'm pretty confident in that. But it's also possible that they don't make the tournament. They could end up playing in the NIT. I mean, if they've got 12 games left. So if they go, if they go 4-8 or even 6 and what would that be? 6 and 6 gets them in. If they end up 5-7, I think they're on the bubble. But 4-8 is not going to get you in. So I think the ceiling of this team is whatever they make of it. I mean, this team, again, it all comes down to draw and matchups in the tournament and postseason play. So like last year, Iowa could have made the Sweet 16 or Elite 8. The defense wasn't what it needed to be, but the Oregon game was just a bad matchup because Oregon exploited those weaknesses, and they exploited them big time. But I think this team has an opportunity, Grant, to play down those weaknesses, so to speak, because, again, they've got athletes that last year's team didn't have, or at least it didn't have the athletes that were comfortable playing 20 to 30 minutes a game that this team has. And again, assuming they get a better draw. Now, if you're a 7 or 10 team, or you're an 8 or a 9, as you know, if you're a college basketball enthusiast, you're going to be playing a 1 seed or a 2 seed in that second round. So I'm not going to sit here and guarantee a Sweet 16 berth. But if Iowa keeps winning, you can improve seeding. And I think if you're ideally, you'd want to be off that 7 line. That's a tall order because Iowa is just 4-4 in the conference. But if you can pick up some good wins, maybe you can get to a 6 seed or a 5 seed. I have a hard time seeing Iowa do any better than that. I'll just be happy if they're in. Now, if you're not going to be a 5 or a 6 seed, I'd rather be, if this makes sense, I'd rather be an 11 or 12 seed. Right now, I don't want to play in the play-in game, but I'd rather be an 11 seed because who would I play then? You'd play a 6 seed following by a 3 seed, conceivably, right? So I'd rather be an 11 seed than a 7, 8, 9, 10. Hopefully that makes sense. As far as potential, though, a team like Iowa that has explosive, an explosive offense and gets up in transition and has good guard play, which I think Iowa has right now. I'd like to see a little bit more scoring from outside from Iowa's guards. But again, they've got good guard play, and a team that's explosive and plays defense does have more potential. I don't know that I'd go so far as to say they have more potential than last year's team, because last year's team was just stacked with shooters. But defensively, it still wasn't what it needed to be. And right now, this team is starting to turn the corner, it seems, against inferior competition. So we'll see what happens on Thursday. And again, the next Sunday, they get Penn State again. So, I'm still skeptical, but they got 2 months left, or a little less than 2 months now, to secure what we hope is a tournament berth and a good seed in the tournament.